Welcome back to Tech Time with Miss Boykin. We are still looking at our Raz Plus platform, and so today we are going to look at a section called Focused Instruction. So as always, I logged on to my Clever DISD. I clicked on Learning A through Z. I made sure that I clicked on my Raz Plus. Remember, we've talked about a lot of the resources that you will want to use are under your resources tab. So I clicked my caret. I scrolled down to focus instruction, clicked on this caret, and now I have some different options that I can look at. So the first one we're going to explore is called literature circles. And this is a really great way to get students to start talking about their books that they're reading. This year, for the 2020-2021 school year, we're really going to focus on giving students choice when it comes to how they want to showcase their skills that they're mastering. And so literature circles is a great way to give them a little bit of choice and control over what they read to help them really invest a little bit more in the books that they're reading. So if you've never done a literature circle before, my first suggestion would be to click where it says Teacher Resources. And then you'll see that you have two modeled lessons that you can use. And you'll notice right here it says nonfiction model lesson. So you're going to click on this model lesson. And then you'll click right here where it says nonfiction model lesson. And then you'll have an entire teacher's guide that will take you through how to actually introduce those roles to the students, how you can teach and model each role so they understand what those roles are, how to give a little guided practice. It'll show you how to use the student pages that they'll put in their journal. It'll give you a little bit of insight on why they include bookmarks into them and why those are important when you're looking at the skill master. So your skill master will really be the person that talks about the specific TEK or standard they're working on. So that could be cause and effect, main idea, inferencing. So these bookmarks really help them hone in on the importance of each skill and how they can monitor it as they go. Then you'll be able to prepare for group discussions, and then it'll also give you just how you can model this lesson for nonfiction roles. So we'll click back. Here are the roles that they're talking about. So you have your character and people tracker. We're going to click on this one just so you can see all of the resources that they have. But as you can see, there are several different roles that the students can take on, which gives them a little bit of ownership of their reading as they're going through. So the first thing we'll look at is the bookmark. Then we will look at the journal page, and then we will look at the role description. So this bookmark will actually go in the book that they're reading, and it'll help them track the character change that's happening. And right here, you'll notice that they can just write like page 4, the name of the character, and then the clue as to what kind of character traits that character had. So this actually goes in their book. And then when they come and have a group discussion with you, they can look back at their bookmark to see what they wrote. That way they can remember what they were reading. And then this actually goes in their journal. And so as they're reading and they're having these discussions with their group, they're going to make notes right here. And this really just helps kind of define the conversations that they're having to make sure that they're productive as they continue reading the books. And then this is your role and your description and like what that actually means. And for this one, they're looking at character and people and they're tracking them. They're looking at their traits. So it even helps them and gives them some traits right here that they can look at to when they're trying to figure out how can I describe this person. And it gives them a nice example of what that would look like as they're going through. So these are some resources that you have for every single role that the students will take on as they're in their literature circle. And your little literature circle, they are working as you're pulling a small group or as you're, pulling an intervention group. They have all of the resources they need to run this group without you after you have taught them about their roles. So this is the modeled lesson. And then right here, if you go to books, it has it broken down from G all the way to Z2. So we'll click on X. And then it has some books right here that they can read. Now, the difference in a novel study and a literature circle, the literature circle means that the students have choice and autonomy on what they want to read. I still suggest grouping them around similar reading levels, but then giving them a sample of what they could read. So, what I've done in the past is I've actually printed a few of these, maybe 4 or 5 of them. I've put them out on the table and I almost did a sampling. They could come up, they could look at the different books, and then they all have to agree on the 2 books that they would like to read. And then once they've decided, okay, this is the actual book we're going to read, then I'll go through and I'll get all their resources ready for them, get them in their journals. The first time I really helped them get all of their resources organized. And then after about the second time, they can go in there and get those resources in those journals themselves. So this is our literature circle. Now, they also have graphic organizers, and these graphic organizers can be used at your small group table, they can be used at your intervention table, and then also we can put these in centers when they're reading to self or they're reading with a partner. This will also help have them have some productive conversations. They have these broken down into 2. So intermediate 3 through 6, these are all the charts and graphic organizers that you probably have introduced to them, or maybe a previous teacher has introduced to them. A nice Venn diagram if they're comparing and contrasting. A sequencing chart if they're looking at beginning, middle, and end and trying to make sure they have that in chronological order. Web diagram, KWL chart, topic web. So all of these can be printed off and housed wherever you put them in your classroom so that they match your organizational system. There's also primary grades. Those will look a lot different. Their graphic organizers will look different than the 3 through 6 graphic organizers, but that's okay. They also have some visual devices. So if you are looking to introduce like bar graphs or charts or diagrams, they actually have an entire teacher lesson plan that will show you like how to, here, and we'll click on diagram so you can see. And this is going to show you how you can actually introduce this to the students. And so just a nice lesson plan. And then it also has some practice pages right below it. So if you see diagram 1, you can project this, diagram 2, and then there's also a diagram worksheet that can be used. Set 2, grades 2 through 3, and then set 3, grades 4 through 5. They've really tried to go out and make sure that the resources that we have match the grade level that we teach, and we're not a 5th grade teacher trying to use a 1st grade visual device or a 1st grade teacher trying to use a 5th grade visual device. They also have a shared reading. And you'll notice that the shared reading again is divided K1, grades 1 through 2, level 3, grades 2 through 3. So you can click on your shared reading. And once again, you can assign it if you want to. Here is a 5-day shared reading lesson plan, your printable cards. So we'll click on the lesson plan so you can see that. And your lesson plan is going to break it down. This is what you do on day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, and day 5. So there are no questions about what you should be doing while you're doing a shared reading lesson with your students. You'll notice right here to the left, it even breaks it down into academic vocabulary. There's a part where they choral read, ask and answer questions. Here's your vocabulary. You're going to predict through vocabulary. This is your introduction. So they have really tried to make this as easy as possible to actually deliver the lesson. And then right down here, you'll notice that you have an option on how you want to do your book. So you can do double-sided or you can do single-sided. And they also include videos in case you need a little bit of help in getting those books put together successfully. You have your comprehension skills and strategies. So again, this is shared reading. We're going to go back to literary skills. They also have paired books. They once again have them broken down, grade 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And you will notice that you have, some of them have a fiction book and a nonfiction book. Some of them have 2 nonfiction books. Some of them have 2 fiction books. This is a great section to go to if you're looking to throw in some of those Venn diagram graphic organizers. You're wanting students to compare and contrast books. What's similar about these 2 books? What's different about these 2 books? This is a great place for you to be. Right here you have your printable PDF. So I'm going to go ahead and pull that up where you can see once again you have that lesson plan, and you also have a graphic organizer that they have given you, but of course you can always go and pull your own graphic organizer. You also have your close reading passages. I love using the strategy close read, really having students like dive into passages or books and read them multiple times so we can work on a different skill with a very familiar text. So you can click right here. Again, if you want to assign this digitally, you can. Remember, you just go to assign, you pick your classroom, and you assign it. So we're going to click on a mission accomplished. You'll notice right here, you can actually print this close read passage. There's multiple levels of this close read passage, low, medium, okay? You have your close read guide. You have your close read questions. If you are wondering like, what questions, should I be asking to prompt their thinking? You have those questions right here that you can be asking them. Also, what I liked about the close read, so you'll notice this, the 3 dots, that means this is a higher level. 2 dots, medium level. 1 dot, lower level. And you can always use your caret right here to get a preview of it. But they also have a leveled book. So if we're looking at a mission accomplished, and maybe I want them to go back and have experience and exposure with reading another book that's related to the same topic, then I can just click right here on leveled books, and then I can go and assign it to them through their student portal, and they can have an opportunity to continue getting exposure to my topic. So I am going to go back, and don't forget, you can assign this, or you can also, if you want to find this at a later date, don't forget, you can add this to your file cabinet. And so I'm just going to drop it into Demo 2, add resource. I added a second resource, save and close. I'm going to go back to literary skills. Okay, I can also click on comprehension. Again, they have these broken down into different grade levels. You will notice that they get more complex the higher you go. So I can start with grade 1. I'm just doing a quick preview and looking at how I'm going to analyze the character. And as I go up, you'll notice that that text is going to change. It's going to get a little bit more complex every time we go up. So I'm going to click on Analyze Character. This is what I'm hoping to work on. Okay, you have your model passage, you have your practice passage, you have your independent practice 1 passage, and then your independent practice 2 passage. So you have your resources right here. Remember that when you click on the A, this is always your printable PDF. So I'm going to click it, A Trip to Grand Canyon. I'm going to click right here. The tab's always going to open up right here. And this is the actual passage that the students have to work with, okay? And if you're needing that lesson plan, you're not really sure how you want to introduce or review how to analyze a character, you can just click right there, and then it is going to pop up, and it will walk you through how to teach this skill. Okay, it's even going to give you an exemplar that they've created to point out some really specific things that will help them understand how to use the graphic organizer, how to just understand what they're reading. And they've even given you a notation key right here. We've called this stop and jots. We've called this annotations. All of those words are the same thing. Here's your notation key right here. Okay. And so obviously this model passage is what you're going to be doing together, and then practice passage. And then now they have, when we look at DOLs, when we're looking at seeing, do our students really understand how to analyze a character? They have 2 practice passages right here that they can use. Okay, now I'm going to go back to literary skills. I'm just going to click right here. And then if you're looking for argumentation, those argumentative passages, looking for like the claims and the reasoning, the evidence, you'll notice that there's only grades 3, 4, and 5 because that is truly where you begin introducing that skill. And so same as always, you can assign it. You can add this to your filing cabinet. You have your downloads right here. And this one also comes with like a lesson animation. And so you can also download your video and you can play it. There are only 4 lessons for this. And so again, today we are working with Raz Plus. We clicked on our resource tab. We went to focused instruction. We clicked on literacy skills, and we looked at the different components that our literacy skills tab has to offer us.